Hello, welcome to Justice for Ezugo Family campaign. My name is Kingsley Ezugo. We are dealing with truly unbelievable events. We are dealing with every parent's worst nightmare. The involvement of the third most senior judge, Brian Leveson, who was also the head of criminal justice, the president of the King's Bench Division, the author of Leveson Inquiry in the abduction, the sexual abuse, and attempted murder of my children, attempted murder of my wife, and hundreds of other crimes. The collusion between the JudiciaryUK and my other opponents, the so-called Mr. Justice Foskett, who was also involved in the abduction and the abuse and attempted murder of my children, and my other opponents, the Metropolitan Police and the Ministry of Justice. Their collusion in what is now turning out to be, without a doubt, Britain's worst scandal. So we have the third most senior judge involved in these abominable crimes. So this campaign is set out to ensure that these people are held accountable. This campaign seeks to ensure that people in powerful positions who abuse children or women are held accountable, including Brian Leveson. At the moment, what we have as evidence in this case is the JudiciaryUK will put a ring of steel around any judge, especially the most senior judges who are involved in the sexual abuse of children or other extremely serious crimes. They shield them and prevent any investigation of their crimes, and they even promote them further in order to undermine what are very serious complaints against them. This campaign seeks to change that in seeking laws that will ensure that these men are punished severely in accordance with the law, because child abuse is not a joke. It's one of the most serious crimes, if not the most serious crime, and the perpetrators must be punished. So this campaign seeks to rescue the Ezugo children who were abducted on the 3rd of August 2017. This campaign also seeks to rescue thousands of innocent men locked up in British prisons, and thousands of young men of sound mind locked up in various mental institutions in Britain. We have a situation in which people are locked up, predominantly, as you will see from even the government report. Black people are simply locked up in mental institutions and in prisons when they have not had a fair hearing, and in mental institutions when they are not mentally ill, simply to undermine them and simply in an attempt to cover up what the establishment has done to them. This is not fair on anyone, and we are seeking to hold the state accountable in order to free these men and reunite them to their families. So please visit our profiles at Ezugo Children, and another profile, Kingsley, at Kingsley Ezugo, to read the mountains of documents that we have. And also please share this video and the other evidence that you will find. You can, of course, contact us with any inquiry that you may have at justiceforeZugoFamily@gmail.com. So we are dealing with Britain's worst scandal of 3 decades long, which still continues to this day. the collusion of Judiciary UK, the Ministry of Justice, and the Metropolitan Police, and Barnett Enfield Haringey NHS Trust in truly unprecedented and most extreme harassment, misfeasance, and nationwide state persecution. The collusion of the above and the third most senior judge, Brian Leveson, and the current president of the King's Bench, Victoria Sharp, in the abduction, the sexual abuse, and attempted murder of Ezugo children, the abuse and attempted murder of my wife, the kidnapping, the torture, and attempted assassination of me. We are dealing with every parent's worst nightmare. My opponents, the evidence is so damaging, as my opponents admitted themselves, that they want to settle out of court. But I refused to settle out of court because I wanted the people who abused my children, the people who attempted to murder my children and my wife, prosecuted. And they couldn't intimidate me or silence me, which is why they kidnapped me, tortured me for 4 long years, and attempted to assassinate me. But for great people, some great people who stood up to them and exposed them to the agency of the United Nations, they would have ended up assassinating me. That was a done deal. They never expected me to come out because they didn't want you to hear what happened to me. And you will hear from the tons of covered recordings that I made during my unlawful, during the time they held me hostage in a mental institution and in prison. We never committed an offense in my life, never suffered any mental illness in my life, and they knew all that. But that's how desperate they were, that they were prepared to hold me hostage there and assassinate me. And it was Brian Leveson and the current president of the King's Bench, who are the ringleaders, who gave the orders and the instructions to kidnap me, held me hostage, tortured, and assassinate me. So we are dealing, as I said, with every parent's worst nightmare, and a case with facts that are so unbelievable, so alarming, that they are even stranger than any fiction you will ever hear. Britain's third most senior judge, the head of criminal justice, the president of the King's Bench, and author of Leveson Inquiry, Brian Leveson, is the ringleader in the conspiracy to destroy my family, and the abduction, the sexual abuse, and attempted murder of my children and my wife, and the unprecedented and atrocious obstructions and miscarriages of justice to cover up these and other hundreds of equally heinous and abominable crimes. I have 7 sets of confidential court documents, files, and tons of covert recordings of senior government lawyers, court officials, police officers, prisoners and prison guards, and NHS consultants and other staff, all which prove absolutely, without any shred of a doubt, that Brian Leveson and my other opponent, the so-called Mr. Justice Foskett, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Cressida Dick, the former Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Cressida Dick, and the senior lawyers in the Ministry of Justice and the Government Legal Department committed these crimes. And the current president of the King's Bench, Victoria Sharp, has been covering up these crimes and shielding these most vile criminals, including Brian Leveson and the so-called Mr. Justice Foskett and all the so-called judges who committed these crimes and covering up these crimes. Evidence so damaging, as I said earlier on, that they wanted to settle the case out of court. And when I refused and insisted, I didn't need the money. I was a businessman. I wasn't a poor man. Money was the least thing in my mind. My priorities is to get people who abuse, who abducted, sexual abuse, and attempted to murder my children and my wife accountable. And when they could not intimidate me into being silent or into accepting their terms of settlement, they kidnapped me and attempted to assassinate me. So this is not what you will expect in a civilized society. I want the people who committed these crimes held accountable, because no judge or anyone is above the law. And as I said earlier on, if these great human beings hadn't intervened, they were injecting me with poisons that was causing me heart attack. That's how they wanted to assassinate me. They also recruited a prisoner to assassinate me. In fact, it was the prisoner who came to me to tell me that he has been recruited to assassinate me. And because the reason why he was telling me this was because he decided he wasn't going to do it when he realized what they brought an innocent man like myself into prison, and what the people who wanted to murder me was afraid of. Their crimes, the abduction, the sexual abuse and attempted murder of my children, and the evidence that totally condemned them and made them guilty of these crimes. It's so mountains of evidence. They wanted to get rid of me because they didn't want the public hearing the evidence. So I survived, and I am giving you this evidence, and I urge you to do something with it in order to safeguard yourselves and to safeguard other people, and by ensuring that the people who committed these crimes are held accountable and put behind bars, because that's where vile criminals like them belong. So the evidence is so damaging, that when Lord Justice Ward dealt with this case, he said on record that reading the evidence in this case filled him with horror. And when you hear about this case and start reading the evidence yourself, you will understand why Lord Justice Ward was filled with horror. And like other numerous other judges who has also dealt with the case, Lord Justice Ward also found that the case is a case that the establishment cannot win. The evidence is such that the establishment simply cannot win. And he also said that the evidence in this case will cause the establishment considerable damage. But both counsels acting for the Commissioner of Police, Judge Thomas and Stephen Morley, both of them also conceded before the various courts, including the Court of Appeal and the High Court, that they know that the police and the establishment cannot win this case. And they accept that the evidence will cause considerable damage to the various establishments. As Lord Justice Ward stated, the evidence will put egg on the commissioner's face. And even Mr. Morley did tell Lord Justice Ward that he has already advised the commissioner that the evidence in this case will cause considerable damage to the Metropolitan Police. And they need to ensure that every step is taken to settle it out of court. But as I said to you, members of the public, you will understand when something like this happens to you, when somebody kidnaps your children, sexually assaulted, abused them, and attempted to murder them, money is the least thing that comes to your mind. Settlement is the least thing that comes to your mind. What any responsible parents will want is to hold the abusers of their children accountable, to prevent other people suffering in the hands of these monsters. That's what I'm fighting for. And I'm urging you to please support me by sharing this video and our other campaign posts. So in fact, as I said, Mr. Morley and the Commission have already considered that the evidence will be very damaging to them. And when you see the claims that I brought against the Commissioner, the HQ 07X01650, I wasn't asking for any money at all, despite the colossal amount of money that I have lost, financial damages that I have suffered, my businesses, loss of my businesses, properties, and losses to my family. I was asking only, I sought only injunction, and I obtained interim injunctions, and these numerous judges, rational judges, all of them found that the case will succeed at the hearing, as they confirmed that the Commissioner and the establishment simply cannot win, has no chance of winning this case. So they imposed unprecedented injunctions against the Commissioner of Police, and they directed that the case should be tried expeditiously to ensure that the final injunction is made to stop the police and the others committing these crimes and to safeguard the public. They also found that this case raises issues of considerable public importance and that it is in the public interest that it must be heard. But Brian Leveson and Victoria Sharp has colluded with the abusers of my children. They've colluded with the so-called Mr. Justice Foskett and the former Commissioner of Police and the current Commissioner of Police and the senior and their senior officials and the senior government lawyers in the MOJ who are engaged in these heinous and abominable crimes. And there has been hundreds of these crimes against my family for 3 decades now and counting. And they have, so what they have done, since they could not intimidate me and they could not defeat me, they could not silence me, what they've done is simply to obstruct this trial that every rational judge has been involved say should happen expeditiously. Since 2007, they have obstructed this case from trial for over 17 years to shield themselves and to shield you, the members of the public, from hearing this extremely damaging evidence of the involvement of the third most senior judge and other judges in the abduction, the sexual abuse, and attempted murder of my children, and the attempted murder of my wife, and their torture, the attempt to assassinate me to cover up these crimes. And they are now embarked in their most desperate attempt to stifle the case completely through the back door. And barring your immediate exposure of this case, they're going to stifle this case in perpetuity and cover up by further obstructing justice and stifling the case through the back door, because they could not question the evidence and they could not beat me. So in their most desperate but totally void attempt to cover up these crimes and to weaken my resolve, they have seized and destroyed a massive volume of evidence, including my computer hard drive, 30 camcorders and recording devices, 50, over 50 very large legal and business, 50 very large bundles of business, legal and business files, and 300 hours of CCTV evidence. They have destroyed all my businesses and businesses, and disposed, and they've stolen my home, my real estate properties, or caused the loss of some of my properties, my merchandise, assets, and all my personal belongings. And they have sold these properties and share the proceedings amongst themselves and their agents. Please share this video on our post at Kingsley Ezugo and at Ezugo Children. Please share widely and help others hear about this case. And please help us and ensure that this campaign succeeds in achieving its goal of keeping children and women safe and punishing the abuses of children and women, and help us to rescue the Ezugo children, as well as to help free innocent men held up in British prisons. Thousands of innocent men and thousands of innocent men and men of sound mind held in British mental institutions. Thank you.